Hello, my name is Victor and welcome to my first video on this channel, Game Terrain. On this platform, I will be sharing my ideas, perceptions, reviews and experiences within the wonderful world of gaming. There's no two ways about it. I love games. They are such a rich and engaging form of escapism that is so powerful, so addictive and immersive, they evoke in me a plethora of feelings and experiences that I just wanted to sit down and share with others about the journeys I have been through. We will discuss what games I've played, we will have console and hardware reviews, game reviews, and hopefully I will inspire and encourage you to go down your own digital journey. If this sounds like something you can get into, then please subscribe to this channel, give us a thumbs up and show us some love and thoughts in the comments section below. Now, I will quickly go over the format I'll be using for this channel. I will be mostly reading from script. I don't intend to do any editing on my videos or showing game footage, as for the most part, other channels have that side of gaming commentary covered, and I didn't really want to spend a lot of time simply copying what has already been done. I adopted the script format as normally I talk very slowly and thoughtfully, involving a lot of ahs and ums. Not wanting to come across as a complete moron or heavily bog myself down with tedious video editing, I thought it best to write everything down to make the narrative concise without any necessity for edits. Now that we've got these disclaimers out of the way and we all know why we're here and what we're doing, we can start with the subject matter. Why I love gaming and why gaming is so good. I can't really begin this without first divulging some backstory. I know, Marxism alarm bells are ringing, but it's useful to know from what angle I approached the medium. I have a long history of being involved within the arts. When I was a kid, I wanted to be a painter or a fantasy story writer, and I used to write lots of adventure stories about pirates, and I used to love drawing and painting and making things. From an early age, I was very creative and imaginative, and a lot of this was inspired by films, TV shows, and of course, games. Later, as a teenager, I got heavily involved in theatre and acting groups and acquired some acting qualifications. At one point, I was part of 4 different drama groups, and after school, I would attend these classes and hang out with some cool, colourful people. It was a lot of fun. Then, into my late teens, I got more into music as a musician, which led me to studying music and creative writing at university. So, taking all of this into consideration, the arts, generally, have been an incredibly important part of my life. Art is something that a person can get lost in, escape to other worlds, dream of wild and fantastical things that provoke thoughts, feelings and reflections. And for me, the creative process is just as important as the appreciation. That's the addictive nature of all art, whether it's films, books, music, television series, you name it, it provides a way of entertaining, escaping and enlightening. Now, the question I've been mulling over recently is the comparison between two ideas of active and passive art. What do I mean by that? Well, passive art appreciation, I would say, is mostly the job of the audience. It's their job to simply soak up what's being presented to them. Sure, they can react and interpret in different ways, but they have no direct influence over the creative process of the art form they are consuming. For example, when I saw Game of Thrones Season 8 finale, all hell broke loose in my emotions and reactions. I don't think anyone was quite ready for what happened at that point after so many years and episodes. However, my feelings and reactions didn't change the contents of the action on the screen. No matter what my feelings were, I would always end up as an observer or consumer. Now, I'm a very hands-on kind of guy. If I hear a piece of music that I can understand musically, I want to learn it on guitar or piano. Often I go ahead and learn it. If I see a painting that I really enjoy, I just want to whip out my canvas and oil paints and see if I can emulate the style. I want to be active within the medium. I'm not happy with just being a passive observer of a piece of art. I want to be a creator, an active person within the platform, not just a passive observer or consumer. I want to contribute or add my own touch or perspective to it all. And that's what I love so much about gaming. It perfectly combines the worlds of active and passive art appreciation. Sure, I am not a game designer. I know more about baking sourdough bread than about JavaScript or the Unreal Engine. However, that doesn't mean that the act of gaming on my sofa is just a passive form of art appreciation. Playing a game involves so many levels of active interaction, and the kind of interaction changes with each title. For example, when I'm walking around as Rex on the back of an enormous titan in Xenoblade Chronicles 2, I'm a decision-making entity. Here's a list of decisions I can make. Where to go, what to do, how to get there, at what time, and who I go with. I'm also a deep strategist. What weapons do I need? What equipment will be optimal for a specific task? How best can I approach an enemy or help a friend? Even during cutscenes in parts of the storytelling, there are levels of interaction that mediums like films, books, or music simply don't have. For those of you who don't know, a cutscene is a cinematic sequence within a game where some action takes part that the gamer has no control over. Although I'm not interacting with my controller during a cutscene, these characters aren't just there on a screen and have nothing to do with me. These are the people that I shared their journeys with, that I controlled and managed and made decisions for. That's why the first time I played Final Fantasy VII, which you can see running on my PlayStation 2 there in the background, and spoiler alert, Aerith died at the hands of Sephiroth, I was so emotionally distraught. Not only had someone died in the story, but a character I had built and trained myself was suddenly gone. When she died, part of my work, decisions and plans, and my own journey went with her. Okay, let's step back a minute. I am not trying to make a blanket statement that all games are active art and that all other art forms are passive. Life is rarely as black and white as all that. Instead, I would suggest that all forms of art creation and appreciation have a spectrum and range of passive and active elements, which can be prescribed on a case-by-case basis. Okay? Until a few years ago, I believed that watching TV, films, series, whatever, was an entirely passive thing, almost entirely passive. The viewer just simply sits and soaks it all up. They have nothing to do with what is happening. Sure, the viewer can react to what they see, but they don't have any input or active role within what's happening. My perception of this changed when a few years ago I went to see a screening of Tommy Wiseau's film The Room. If you haven't seen it, I would recommend it. It's hilarious. And that show screening was so much fun. It had a Q&A with Greg Sestera, I think his name is, and Tommy after the screening. For the first time ever, I realised that watching films can be a very interactive and interactive thing. As people in the audience, they heckled, shouted quotes from the film, threw plastic spoons at the screen, and were hyper-reactive to everything that was going on. I realised that audience participation became a huge chunk of the overall experience, and that watching this film at home on my TV and watching it with a live audience was not the same thing at all. So even with the same source material, there are different elements of active and passive participation depending on the circumstances. And that's what many bands and musicians come to realise when doing live gigs. It's often not enough to just play the music and expect the audience to sit and listen. You know, singing, clapping, stomping, or dancing around to the music increases the active and participatory nature of the audience that makes the experience of live music something distinctly different to listening at home. You know, bopping my head along to a Metallica track on my MP3 is not the same thing at all as diving into a mosh pit at Download Festival, which is always good fun. All forms of art appreciation and creation dabble within this contrast between active and passive roles. And I got thinking about this and realised even the act of being the creator of a work of art can have its passive elements. Sometimes I play guitar or paint a picture and my head or my heart isn't really fully engaged and active in the process, active within the moment. It's a very common phenomenon to be a creator who isn't fully committed or have a fully realised vision of where they are going. I mean, how many times have we read a film review where the director, actors or actresses are slammed because they didn't do a good job? So, the idea of simply going through the motions and not fully committing and engaging can be a reality for both the creator and the consumer. It really is fascinating to reflect on what elements of different forms of art can be seen as passive or active. And the thing about games that I find so engaging is that after a session of gaming, I mean, a session for me is usually a good few hours, I often feel as though I have done something. It really is as simple as that. That feeling is the reason why so many people enjoy their jobs or enjoy their careers, because they know that if they stay at home, they may well fall into a passive or inactive lifestyle. But when you're in a workplace, you have jobs, tasks, deadlines, plans, goals, risks, payoffs, losses, regrets and triumphs, and these highs and lows are tangible and real things that happen. And the brutal frustration of trying to do something at work and not being able to can be compared to trying to beat that impossible boss in Elden Ring and just failing again and again. But you go back and you try again, because this is your job. This is what you are here to do. No matter how good a film or painting on a wall or piece of music is, I rarely leave forms of art with the feeling that I've actively participated and done something myself. Films, books, listening to music, they can all evoke a wide range of feelings, sadness, joy, laughter, empathy, etc. However, there is one specific feeling that these arts struggle to evoke: the feeling of power and of being powerful. Sure, many movies have tried very hard to rouse this kind of feeling. The Marvel and DC movies and comics have built an entire industry on celebrating heroic, powerful, and almost godly capabilities. I remember when I was a kid coming out of the cinema to see my first Spider-Man movie, and how I saw tall buildings around me in a completely new way. I was just imagining zipping across everything. And just imagine climbing and scaling and swinging from it all. But a strong lack of satisfaction hit me when I realised that I was just a little kid who would never be able to live that dream myself. I could never be Spider-Man. It's a sad thing, but it's true. So when I first played Spider-Man 2 on the almighty console that was the PlayStation 2, it was a revelation to me. I could control and have the same powers as Spider-Man. Spider-Man's success was dependent on my own skill and my determination. I can live the dream that the movie instilled, but the world just couldn't realise. And this brings me back to the original point of this video: why I love games so much. As a kid, I used to dream and imagine the kind of stuff that today I am able to live within games. Visit other worlds, meet strange and wonderful characters, go on amazing adventures through any and every landscape and universe that the human imagination can possibly think of. To go into battle with some of the coolest, most powerful people that I would likely never meet in the real world. But I don't want to just see these people in a film or hear about them in a book. I want to be those people. When they fail and when they die, their failing is my own. When they win victorious, that feeling of glory and triumph is mine to claim. After all, it was my skill, my knowledge, planning and perseverance that saw the hero through the trials. In a nutshell, that's why I love video games. In the same way that I would rather climb up Mount Snowdon, which is in the north of Wales, for those who don't know their geography, I would rather climb it rather than watch a documentary about Snowdon. I don't just want to be a passive observer. I want to be the adventurer, to be the hero of the story, the sharpshooter or the strategist, or whatever it is, and flex the muscles of specific skill sets that the game requires of me, because unlike a film or a book, a happy ending is never guaranteed in a game, unless I am able to put in the work to figure things out for myself and see things through to the end. And to add even more to this compelling list of reasons for why I love gaming, there are the stacked up levels of art that many games contain. Music. Music. The game you see behind me, Final Fantasy VII, fantastic music. Artistic graphical visuals. Some games I've played are absolutely beautiful to watch. The atmosphere of a game, the story, the lore, the depth of the gameplay mechanics. I cannot really stress how much these elements add to the immersion and the feeling of a game. Many of my favourite titles grab my heart, not just because of the gameplay and the story, but from the music that pulls you into the world. And to go even further, we have multiplayer online games where gaming is social, live and interactive with people all over the world, or even sit right next to you in multiplayer couch scenarios, playing with my friends and family, you know, helping each other in co-op missions or competing with each other head to head. It really is just a magical thing. And all you gamers out there alive today and getting your hands stuck into this world of opportunity, count yourselves damn lucky. We really are living within the golden age of gaming. And in my opinion, it never really has been as good as it is today to call yourself a gamer. So, whether you play on PCs, consoles, tablets or mobile phones, I hope you're making the most of what's out there. I'm mostly a console gamer myself, and yes, the Nintendo Switch is my favourite console of all time. Maybe I'll make a video someday about my experiences with the Nintendo Switch, but for now I think I've said all I need to say about this subject. I could say a lot more, but I guess I'll save all of my waffle for another day. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for listening. I really do appreciate it. My name is Victor. This is Game Terrain. Stay tuned for game reviews, console reviews, and general discussion about the wonderful world of video games. Till next time, adios.